Good afternoon, everyone. Just testing. Um, you guys let me know when you're ready. Good afternoon, everyone. Jessica Corbett, Director of External Affairs for Fulton County Government. We're here today to provide an update about animal control services within the city limits of Atlanta. You'll hear from Chairman Rob Pitts. He is also joined this time by Commissioner Dana Barrett and our county manager. And so we'll go ahead and let Chairman Pitts get us started. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I'll get right to the point. Happy to be joined by my colleague, Commissioner Dana Barrett, and our County Manager, Dick Anderson. So, despite months of discussions and ongoing good faith efforts, on the part of Fulton County, the City of Atlanta still has not provided a signed intergovernmental agreement to Fulton County for animal services as of this afternoon. The latest information we received from the city is that there could be May before we have a final signed agreement. Now, in the absence of a signed intergovernmental agreement with any city, that we do not have authority to provide animal control services inside such city. So if we continue to do so, we are exposing ourselves to liability. For more than 3 months, we have continued services in the city of Atlanta in good faith with Atlanta's promise of a signed intergovernmental agreement, but we cannot continue to do so. Therefore, as of today, April 5th at 5 p.m., responsibility for animal services within the city limits of Atlanta will revert to the city of Atlanta. All calls for animal services within the city limits of Atlanta will be directed to the city of Atlanta. Now, this was a difficult decision after months and months of discussion and follow-up. But in the end, the city left us with no other option. Now, it is unfair to taxpayers in all of our other cities to ask that they subsidize the services within the city of Atlanta, which is by far the greatest user of animal control services, constituting 55% of all calls. In fact, just yesterday, we received 35 animal control calls, of which 25 were for services from within the city of Atlanta. Now, to recap the events that led us here, last summer, Fulton County communicated with each of our 15 cities about the changes in fees, including the increases. Information about these fees was first shared with the City of Atlanta in July of 2023. In October of 2023, the agreement was provided to the City of Atlanta for signature. Keep in mind, all 14 other cities within Fulton County had already signed the agreement with similar proportionate increases reflecting their usage and current costs. All had signed but the City of Atlanta. These costs reflect only the true cost of service, nothing at all to do with the construction, no profit or fees to Fulton County. We, Fulton County, are bearing the cost of the construction. Now, while the cities are responsible for the cost for the service, it is important to note that Fulton County, as I said, is bearing the entire cost for the new animal shelter. This new facility replaced an outdated, overcrowded facility that had been in use for more than 40 years and had been cited by the Georgia Department of Agriculture. New service agreements were to take effect January 1st, 2024. Now, we're more than 3 months past that deadline and have continued providing these services within the city of Atlanta in good faith, believing that an agreement would be signed. But despite repeated reminders and notice 2 weeks ago that we would cease services without a signed agreement, the city's failure to take action brings us to today. Now, what does this mean? It means that the city of Atlanta must immediately, as of 5 p.m. today, take responsibility for all calls about animal control services within the city limits of Atlanta. Now, we share the concerns of many residents about what this change means for public safety in our larger cities. And we will be glad to reconsider our position upon receipt of a final executed intergovernmental agreement signed by the mayor of Atlanta. Thank you for being here, and we'll take questions. We'll hear from Commissioner Dana Barrett.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Commissioner Dana Barrett. I serve District 3 in Fulton County, which is predominantly City of Atlanta, though I do have also some of Sandy Springs, in my district. I certainly want to second everything the chairman said and just add that despite the fact that this is a pass-through, no-fee contract, the efforts by City of Atlanta to try to pressure Fulton County into giving them some kind of discount or concession through everything up to and including bullying tactics, as we saw the mayor today criticize Fulton County officials, it's just really shocking and disappointing. We are doing a service that is purely that, a service to the cities within our county. We are not able to provide those services by Georgia law without a signed agreement. So we have done everything we could to wait in good faith for them to sign this contract. They chose not to do it, and we just had to move forward with following the board's vote from March 20th to cut off service. So we're happy to take questions, and I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
We could take a couple questions.
Any questions?
Yes.
So have we had any indication what the holdup is? I know. What changed since Tuesday?
Well, I've had at least 3 conversations with the mayor, and I still believe that there's an opportunity. And I still believe that certainly we're operating in good faith, and I have to believe that the mayor's operating in good faith. But the reality of it is, we cannot legally provide these services within a city without an intergovernmental agreement being in place. That is a strong advice from our county attorney, and we have to abide by what she's saying.
So starting at 5 o'clock, if this service, those calls from Atlanta, send them to a generic number in the city of Atlanta? How does that process work?
The calls would be routed, if they come into our number, to the Atlanta 911 center. And they've been advised that this would be happening at 5 p.m. today and are prepared to receive those calls. And I believe use Atlanta PD to respond to those calls.
Well, I don't know the answer to that question, but we've been discussing this for some time now, and we're not turning our backs on the city of Atlanta, but we are under strong advisement from our county attorney that we just cannot. There's too much liability at stake for us, so we will do what we can. But as of 5 p.m., we're no longer providing those services. We're suspending. It's probably a better word, suspending services, animal control services within the corporate limits of Atlanta.
And you said it would be till May. Why May? Why is that?
Well, we've talked with the mayor, we had, and his people, we've had ongoing discussions back and forth, and draft agreements, and if a final agreement if the mayor and I can agree upon a final agreement, he has to take it to city council. And if he takes it to city council as what's called a resolution, it can be handled in one meeting at their next meeting. If they determine that it needs to be an ordinance, it will have to go through a committee and back to the council, which will take the final date, possible final date, to May 15th, I believe. They were paying over the last 4 or 5, and by the way, there have been increases over the 4 or 5 years that we have not passed on to the cities. They have been paying in the range of $2.5 million, and their pro rata fair share was up to $6 million. That's because they are the biggest user. 55% of the calls come from the city of Atlanta.
Is there any wiggle room here?
No, absolutely not. It's based on the numbers are what the numbers are.
Can I add, Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
that we, not only is this a pass-through cost-only contract, we gave them a discount essentially for the last several years because we didn't raise prices. So we were covering the cost. Fulton County was covering the extra cost for all of the cities until the new IGAs went into effect. So, they've had sort of a better deal. Their price was that low because we hadn't raised it to meet the additional cost through COVID of supply chain and staff and all the things that everybody else has gone through. I also want to say we are deeply concerned about their ability to provide services. We don't know if they have the ability to do it. We hope that they will, and we stand ready. I can speak, I think, for the three of us and all of the board when I say we stand ready to reinstitute services the minute we have a signed IGA and are legally allowed to do so.
Like you mentioned, show up, where would they take the animals? Or shelter, right?
I mean, arguably, there are vendors, there are other counties, they could make arrangements with someone else. We essentially serve as a vendor in this case, and they may be able to make arrangements elsewhere. That's their choice. But, like I said, we stand ready to take their work back as soon as we have a signed IGA. Well, yeah, and I think this is maybe why you asked also about, is there any wiggle room? And the answer is there is not wiggle room, for one. Two, all the other cities signed their IGAs, and it would be completely unreasonable for us to somehow change the fees or lessen the price for the city of Atlanta when we did not do so for the other 14 cities. To your point regarding tactics, we had the city of Atlanta asking for free real estate from us, asking for future help with things we're already helping with, additional money towards homelessness, for example, additional help with security around FIFA, all things we're willing to do with them, but that have nothing to do with animal control. And so they were sort of trying to use this contract as leverage to get us to do things, interestingly, that we will probably do anyway. So it's a very strange set of tactics, and I'm honestly not sure why they felt they needed to go down that path when there really is just nothing we are able to do on price.
Thank you, Commissioner. Last question, should you
No, I don't think we have that level of detail, but no, I think it's mostly the kinds of calls we get are stray dogs and things of that nature. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
No, I think the sheriff is having something later today, but let me ask him in a minute.
No, they just said spring it on them when you get there.